I'm your host, Jason. If you're planning to repaint the interior of your house, this video is going to show you what to expect from a project like this, and along the way we're going to guide you through with some tips and suggestions. The tape and drape that we use is very nice because it's got this blue tape at the top, which is similar to the Scott's blue tape, which is commonly referred to as painter's tape because of its adhesion. It won't pull off any finishes or any of the paint that's already on the wall. It sticks with some static electricity so that no dust gets inside. Now this will go up and down depending on your usage needs for the kitchen. This is much easier than having to try to use plastic and tape, especially if you're trying to do this on your own as a homeowner. I like to use a pair of scissors instead of a razor blade because you get a much better cut, much cleaner line. Overlapping joints. Make sure when we pull it down that it has no bare spots. We're going to lay more plastic over all these countertops. Remember, always leave some overhang when you're cutting the plastic for stuff like this because you do want to protect these sides as well. That way we don't have to put any more tape on things than we need to, run less risk of pulling any of the finishes off. This is a very common problem if you're in a climate where you have a lot of hot and cold temperatures because of the expansion and contraction of the natural woods that you're going to have. On a wall that gets hit with sun in the morning after a cold night, it's going to want to pull away. So the caulking is now split and cracked. What you have to do there is you have to dig out the old caulking. Once you've cleaned out all the old caulking, you have a nice clean area. You're going to give it a quick vac. Now here's a tip that most homeowners might not know about dealing with caulking. We all know it's a mess, and no one likes to deal with it. It gets everywhere and gets sticky. If you grab a bucket of water and a sponge or a nice wet rag, clean of course, it'll help wipe it out. Now it would take all the hardware off of your doors. It's really not that hard. Helps give a cleaner finish, let all the grain of the wood flow together, no brush marks, and there's no risk of getting any paint on any of your hardware. Now, if you have a lot of these to do, you might be tempted to use a power drill. With a nice finish like this, it's better to use a hand screwdriver. It just helps eliminate any jumping of your screw tip, anything, so you don't scratch any of the hardware because you want it to go on exactly as it came off. Put a couple pieces of tape over the screws, fold them over so they can't jump out, and then put everything back together the way that you took it apart. That way you have no risk of losing any of the important things. Nothing worse than finishing a job and being one screw light. So I'm going to put a little bit of tape on the handle. Grab a marker, just label it. Now you know what you have, you know where it goes, you have every piece that's important. Now you're going to have a lot of these things called stress cracks, just from your house settling. What you need to do when you have a problem like this is you take your 5-in-1 and you dig out the crack. Give it a little more surface area. What you're going to want to do is just run a light skim coat of joint compound first. Scrape the excess off. You got your mesh tape out. Some people call it waffle tape. It's just drywall tape. Now you've laid out just a thin coat, it helps it stick. Now you've got to this point, a lot of people would use a razor knife to cut it. Then you're risking getting another scar or a cut into the wall. Just grab your putty knife, press down hard, and pull. Clean, cut, no extras, no problems. You're going to add a little bit of joint compound on your blades. Give it a little bit of back and forth, kind of work it in. And apply. Now it's going to shrink, so don't try to go overboard and put a heavy coat on it, because then you're just going to end up with a lot of air pockets. Chances are this will have to be done at least twice. And you're going to want to go around very far out. Say if it's 1.5 inches that you're fixing, you want to bring it out about 1 foot, because we call that bridging. That way you get a smooth transition from the original wall to the patched wall back to the original wall, so you don't see a bump when the light's set at that certain angle. Now this might be a problem that you're having in your house. where you have some burning through. This is a moist wood before it was primed and painted and it was put in, and some of the moisture is trying to escape. When that happens, you're going to get yellowish marks, knots. You have to seal those in, and also just keep coming back. So use something like this, which is a sealer. This happens to be Kills, but you can also use bins. That's an alcohol base. This one is a paint thinner base. Now, this is by no means a finished coat. This is meant strictly to seal all that in. The best part about this stuff is it all dries in about 20 minutes, so it won't cut into your time. Still be able to be productive. Here's another tip for you. When you're done using your Kills brush, the oil-based or an alcohol-based, just take a little bit of the tape and drape or regular plastic. You can wrap it right up. Then just throw it in your freezer. And as soon as you need it, you can pull it back out, wait about 5 minutes, and be good to go. This is the part where most people get nervous. Cutting in straight lines to the ceiling. No reason to be nervous, just take your time, take a deep breath, and always remember to paint back to the wet. You can always retouch it up. Just make sure, keep a steady line, take your time, and always paint back to the wet paint. Paint and trim on windows. Scared to get some paint in the glass. It's actually encouraged. Get a little on there, create a vapor barrier. I'll show you a little trick in a second on what to do with the extra oil paint on the glass. What you do is you score it with the edge of a razor blade. And you grab what we call a zip tool, something that holds a razor blade. You can get one at the auto parts store or at your paint shop. And then grab your dust brush. And dust brush it right away. Clean line. Now you've got all your work, all your prep done, and then you're going to start putting some color on the wall. Here's a nice little tip for you. Before you start rolling your color onto your walls, you take a fresh rolling app, give it a nice little wrap with some painter's tape. Now what this is going to do is pull all of the loose hair and lint that's still part of the fabric. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but all that extra lint that's stuck to the tape right now would have found its way into your paint and onto your walls and ruined your finish coat. Alright, here's a good little tip for you. We already got one coat of the wall color up, and instead of wasting a perfectly good nap, wrapped it up with some tape and drape, because it will keep for at least a few days without any of the edges getting dried. As soon as you take it out, it's ready to roll. Now they're going to start rolling a wall. Just want to get nicely saturated rolling that. Not so much that it drips, but enough to put paint on the wall. Start off about the center of the wall. You always want to be leading with this edge because it's the heaviest edge. You don't want to leave any rails, any lines in it, because the lighter edge will feather them out. You're going to bring it over about 2 roller widths from where you ended off. And when you bring it over, you want to make sure you overlap your last stroke. Alright, well that pretty much wraps it up here. Hope I didn't scare you away from attempting a project like this on your own. I'm Jason. Good luck on your future projects, and remember, we're always here to help.